Chapter 22. Rescued or Captured? Sue tossed and turned, trying to get some rest. Each time sleep overtook her, a nightmare blossomed, waking her again. She regretted grabbing the microphone, trying to engage the stranger on the radio. What kind of monster scared an invincible giant like Ulysses? Why had he called Ulysses captain? How did they know each other? The list of questions grew, with no answers forthcoming. Ulysses refused to talk about it, but he avoided the bottle, a positive baby step. He slept like the dead while she remained awake. She thought about heading into the control room as the night wore on, a familiar location to hide in, but the radio received only static on all the channels, except for those playing the New World Order message, telling them to surrender. She dreaded watching the camera feeds, not wanting to see the shadow again from earlier in the day. No need to confirm another monster awaiting to attack her. Her apocalyptic life sucked. The EMP attack started the death spiral of the country, ushering in the red rain to finish the job. A silent, dead world filled with unspeakable monsters surrounded them. An invading army, and the Major the only survivors. She assumed Lucas had died by now. No way to confirm these suspicions based upon her limited view of the world. "Sue, wake up!" Ulysses shook her shoulder with a gentle touch. After experiencing all her waking nightmares, she had drifted off to sleep. A small miracle, a little too late. Her head pounded, and she didn't know if a migraine or the lack of sleep caused her pain. "What time is it?" 4:30. We need to get the hell out of here before the Major shows up. He's not the type of man you want to associate with. "Who is he? Why did he call you captain? How do you know him?" "Never mind. I'll explain everything later. We need to get moving first." He turned away from her, walking away before she could question him anymore. As she sat up in the bed, the room spun around her. She closed her eyes, waiting for the spinning to stop. She regretted not getting out of bed earlier, because the small amount of sleep made her feel worse than none. A gallon of coffee might help. When she recovered from the dizziness, she found Ulysses carrying the same load as he had the day before. He offered her a backpack, giving her a feeling of déjà vu all over again. She strapped the pack on her back, preparing to follow the big man out into the world of the unknown, a world filled with danger. As they crossed the threshold into the control room, Sue looked back at the bunk beds. They had provided her a safe place to sleep the last few weeks, and she would miss them. She wondered where they'd sleep tonight, or if they'd even have the chance. Ulysses stopped in front of the outside door, turning towards Sue. "Stay alert. We don't know what we're going to find out there." Sue nodded. Butterflies fluttered in her stomach as they stood behind the closed door. Ulysses punched the code into the keypad, causing the door to groan as it eased open. The sky still glowed a sickening color of red. It could be her imagination, but it looked a little less unnatural than it did the day before. Maybe things were improving? She turned to punch the lock code into the keypad by the blast door. They needed to have the option of returning to the bunker if things turned to shit again today. Movement registered from the corner of her eye. A strange robotic voice made her jump. "No need to close that door, ma'am. We're here to save you." Sue spun around, coming face to face with an armed man dressed in a white hazmat suit. His voice came through a tinny speaker on the front of his full-face mask. An external air supply made him sound like Darth Vader. She looked past the man, noticing the other armed soldiers standing behind him. The veins in Ulysses' neck bulged as he flexed his fists. He looked ready to strike. "Don't even think about it, Captain. You aren't indispensable. I don't want to kill you, but I will if I'm forced to." Ulysses snorted like an angry bull. He shook his hands, releasing his fists after a few tense moments. His shoulders slumped. The Major sneered behind his full-face mask. If she had any doubts before, she now knew his identity. Nobody else called Ulysses captain. "Smart move, Captain. Jones, Scott, Bishop, grab anything useful from the bunker. Sergeant Anderson, show our guests to the transport." 3 armed figures stormed through the bunker door, while 4 approached them. They led with their rifles, shoving them toward a large box truck. 2 more box trucks, along with the 2 Humvees, rounded out the fleet of vehicles. All 5 vehicles had parked outside the range of the bunker's cameras. Did they get lucky, or did they know where the cameras were? As the soldiers shoved them inside the empty box, the door closed with a whoosh. None of the guards entered the box truck with Sue and Ulysses. They all remained on the outside. White walls, floor, and ceiling, along with 2 bench sheets bolted to the walls, completed the stark interior. All surfaces appeared clean. Too clean. "What the hell is going on here, Ulysses?" Anger burned within her, even if Sue didn't know who to blame for their plight. She wrapped her arms around her body, trying to warm herself from the blasting air conditioning. The inside of the door lacked a handle, preventing any attempt at escape. An uncomfortable prison in a mobile refrigerator. Ulysses had an unreadable look on his face. His lack of response made Sue's anger turn to fear. She wanted action, but saw no way out of their cell. She plopped down on the bench opposite Ulysses, defeated. He stared at the door without muttering a word. Sue wanted to cry, but she pushed the feelings down deep, a powerless feeling. After what felt like hours, the truck's diesel engine roared to life, lurching away from the bunker. Their windowless prison cell prevented her from knowing what direction they drove in. Not that knowing would have helped her. They were at their captor's mercy. Screwed. "Where do you think they're taking us?" Ulysses' eyes burned as he turned toward her. His massive muscles tense. He appeared to want action too. "No idea. The Major is an evil man. Best to be prepared to fight when the door opens." Sue tried to swallow the lump stuck in her throat. The giant telling her she needed to fight put her nerves on edge. She longed for her old life, where missing out on a fresh pastry with her coffee was the worst thing that happened during her day. Fighting for her life had gotten old, but she hadn't lost her desire to live. The truck rocked as they traveled, making her eyes heavy. She shook her head, trying to remain alert. Her stomach churned, her head pounded. Sue didn't know if a touch of motion sickness or nerves plagued her. Either way, the source of the discomfort made no difference. When the droning of the truck threatened to become too much, they stopped. The silence spiked her heart rate, not knowing what would come next. She turned toward Ulysses, looking for a signal. He had to have a plan. "Stay behind me, Sue. If you get a chance to run, don't look back. I'll catch up to you." A hiss came through the vent near her head. Then she noticed a strange smell. Sue's head swam, her knees weakened, turning to jelly. As the floor rushed up to smack her in the head, her world turned black. A peaceful sleep overcame her.